Hello, friends. Welcome to yet another episode of Timeshare Tuesday Recap Live. Sorry I missed y'all last week. I was on vacation. Took my kids down to Marriott Harbor Lake, and we had an absolute great time. Only downside was the Wi-Fi was pretty terrible in terms of bandwidth for streaming, so I was not able to have a good enough bandwidth to live stream. But we are going to cover every topic that we missed last week, so double the pleasure, double the fun, double the flavor. Think of your favorite Double Mint commercial for all of you who are that old. Hey, Claire, thanks for tuning in. Super happy to see you. We got our usual regulars on the channel already ready to go. I love you guys' punctuality. Thank you so much for tuning in, which is going to be an absolutely epic episode, probably the longest one we've ever done. Hi, Dan. How you doing? Good. I had to hear Wi-Fi is an issue. Had that at Grande Vista. Yeah, I mean, it worked. I didn't have any complaints in doing email and such, so I was able to function. But trying to test the stream and do the speed for hosting a live stream, especially one in HD, just it was basically telling me it was a poor idea at best. So I figured the better option would be to have another episode this week where we cover all 8 topics, 4 we missed last week and 4 from this week. And with that said, again, thank you so much for tuning in. We will go ahead and get started. Appreciate each and every one of you who is tuned in and is going to sit with me and listen to these awesome topics. It's been a pretty busy 2 weeks. We've had some really impressive topics, some really important news. And even more important news today. I can't wait for this week's newsletter to come out on Saturday. Some just bombshell stuff that's happened this week, at least as far as I'm concerned. I hadn't heard about it in the past, but I have no doubt that the timeshare industry will be waiting with bated breath to read the topics in this Saturday's newsletter. And just a reminder, if you are not signed up for the Tug newsletter, it is 100% free, 100% open to anyone. You can sign up tug2.com/newsletter. Get it each and every Saturday, completely free to your inbox. Keep up with all of the topics, the most interesting topics, the latest timeshare reviews, the bargain rentals, bargain resales, free giveaways, all of the stuff that we have. We send out completely free to tens of thousands of subscribing owners each and every week. The newsletter is absolutely your best way to keep up with all of the topics important to every timeshare owner in the world. So if you're not currently subscribing to the newsletter, be sure to go there. I'll put the link down in the comments below, or send me an email, tugadmin@tug2.net. Any timeshare questions you have, I'll personally sign you up for the newsletter. If you're not already set up or you can't figure out how to do it, we want to get each and every timeshare owner in the world, all millions and millions of them, signed up for the Tug newsletter. We think that would be a wildly impressive thing to really turn this industry on its head if people were in the know about what's going on with timesharing. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. We've got 8 topics to cover tonight, with the first one being the timeshare marketplace. The timeshare forums have now eclipsed $25 million in completed refunds to timeshare owners. I mean, this is, you get choked up just thinking about it. It's $25 million of people that just found Tug in time after buying a new timeshare, signing a contract while on vacation, somehow found Tug on their phone, went home, went back to their room, did their research, discovered that, holy crap, I just paid way too much money for this timeshare for something that I can get for free or pennies on the dollar on the resale market, and were able to execute a cancellation of that contract using their legal rights, using the information in their timeshare contract, and get a full refund. This is just 25 million bucks right back into the pockets of timeshare owners who would have otherwise just completely thrown that money away. Just, there's no other way to put it. That money would be gone. Doesn't go to your ownership. Doesn't go to the resort. Most of it's going to pay for marketing and the sales commission. It's just money would just gone. It's $25 million. We just look at it as that money was put back into the vacation pocketbook of timeshare owners out there. Can you imagine if you were given $25 million, how awesome your vacations would be for the next 20 years or 50 years? Or what could you do with an average savings of what, $25,000 or something to that effect? If we went back and looked at it, I think we're up there's 1,500 people have rescinded for 25 million bucks. $25,000. What could you do? What if I just told you, send you an email one day saying, hey, here's 25,000 bucks. Use it to take your family on vacation for the next 10, 15, 20 years. How much more amazing would your vacations be with that much money? And that's exactly what we provided to so many people just by doing 5 minutes of research on the timeshare that they just bought, discovering that they made a terrible mistake, that what they were sold is not what they were buying, that the resale market exists to provide the exact same thing to these owners for pennies on the dollar. It truly is, when you look at the grand scheme of things, we're obviously a very small percentage of people who buy timeshares do find Tug and are able to rescind in time and get a full refund. I want to say that Arda released statistics a couple months back showing that less than 16%, 15% of people actually rescind a timeshare purchase. So, that's not great when you consider you're locked into to not only a lifetime contract of paying thousands of dollars in maintenance fees every year, but you paid on average 25,000 bucks to buy that timeshare in the first place. So 25 grand on average to buy into a timeshare that you're going to pay thousands of dollars to use every year for the rest of your life. uh the math just doesn't math, as my child likes to say. Um when you take that $25,000 out, when that purchase price is free, or talk about 2 cents on the dollar, 5 cents on the dollar, it totally puts the metrics and the math behind saving money on vacations in a totally new light. Timeshare actually becomes to make sense. The whole reason people find the allure of timeshares is not just the fact that you have a better experience than staying in a hotel room, but the premise is to save money. If you People aren't buying a timeshare because it costs more than staying in a hotel room. People aren't buying a timeshare because they're going to spend more on vacations over the next years. People buy into timesharing because it's built as a prepaid vacation to be cheaper than if you were to make those vacation reservations on your own year after year. And when you completely wipe out that $25,000 average purchase price, it's a wildly different dynamic in terms of the value of timesharing. Now you're just paying the maintenance fees, and in most cases, that is going to be cheaper, especially if you're talking about a 2 or 3 or 4 bedroom unit with a full kitchen, a full living room, able to save even more money, hundreds of dollars on meals. We just spent a week in Harbor Lake with my kids, and I don't know the last time you took a family of four out to eat, uh, but it's not cheap. I mean, I don't think you can go to Chili's these days. Maybe you can go to IHOP for their kids eat free breakfast or something like that. Uh, and get out of there for under 50 bucks. But an average family of four, I would say it's easily $100 or more to go out to Chili's or Applebee's or your favorite restaurant, wherever you happen to want to go. And you have to do that staying in a hotel, or you're ordering in, which is, I don't know the last time you tried to order something via Uber Eats or pizza delivery or something like that, but that's become ridiculous too. Just prices on everything have gone up. Being able to grocery shop and spend, being able to cook a meal, prepare breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't say you have to do it every time, but the ability to do that and not have to eat out 3 meals a day or provide food for your family by going out externally 3 meals a day is just savings of hundreds, if not 1,000 or more dollars over the course of a week. And this is where the vacation savings, this is where time sharing just makes sense. I couldn't believe it. Our in-laws flew in from Oklahoma. We actually got them separate rooms, so we all stayed there together. It was an absolutely amazing trip. The first time they had ever stayed in a timeshare, and they were absolutely blown away. They just couldn't stop mentioning how amazing it was to have a full living room and a kitchen where we could sit down and have family meals and prepare spaghetti night and grilled cheese night for the kids, just stuff like that. And the kids are bonkers. They're going crazy over that. They absolutely love it. They don't care that they're not going out to Chili's. They care, ooh, I get ice cream after this. Fantastic. To save leftovers, to heat stuff up, to make cereal in the morning, frozen waffles. God, my kids live on boogers, fish sticks, and frozen waffles. So it's wild when you get that experience, and they just could not say enough about it. Want to come back? I don't know if they're ready to buy a timeshare, but 100% we're all in on coming back and staying at this, and just could not stop commenting on how much better it was to stay in a 2 bedroom unit where their child could sleep in his own bed, and their parents could sleep in their own bed, and have all of that just so much better than a hotel room. Even if it was a little more expensive than staying in a hotel, it wasn't in this case, as we got an amazing deal. But just could not believe that this is what timeshare experience. And when people have that experience, that just shows that timeshare is a viable product. It's just not a viable product when you pay full retail for it. We can't help but be super, super proud to save timeshare owners $25 million. It's verifiable, confirmed money back in owners' pockets. It's not made up. It's not just completely myth. It's just not just anecdotal. You can see each and every one of these stories in completion. We link every single one on this thread. Click on it and go and read each and every one of those stories and see exactly how much they saved. Truly, truly an amazing milestone for Tug. One that I'm absolutely proud of. We have saved enough on our meals and our timeshare to take another week's vacation. 100%. It was wild. We factored easily $200 a day. If you save 2 meals a day, even if you're just being completely conservative in that estimate, that's $1,000 a week, hands down. At bare minimum, you just can't beat it. And the convenience of not having to pack up in the car and go out to dinner and so on and so forth. But the convenience of an easy breakfast or a quick lunch or peanut butter and jellies, or you can still choose to go out and eat dinner. You can choose to order from the resort or order in or something like that. But be able to eliminate 2 meals a day at minimum, It's just that you just can't. I can't say enough about how much money you save in doing something like that. Can't go back to a hotel room, Claire. I agree with you 100%. I will. I tell people all the time. Once you stay in a timeshare, you will never want to stay in a hotel room again. You might choose to stay in a hotel room, but you will just constantly be thinking about, man, I wish I was in. I wish I had a living room. I wish I had a lockable bedroom door. I wish I had a kitchen that I could keep my leftovers in, or have a gallon of milk that I could drink some of it, so I'm not just ordering soda all the time, or having to go out and buy fast food three nights a week. It just can't say enough about the experience of time sharing. However, paying full retail, just absolutely the downside to time sharing. If you can get it on the resale market for free, or pennies on the dollar, it just completely turns the negative connotation and the value you get from time sharing. That math just completely inverts, and far more in your favor. So while we've been saying for 30 years, resale is the answer. Never pay full price. Buy resale, save thousands, and even more once you really realize how much a timeshare can improve your family vacations. Wish I had a washer dryer. We did have a washer dryer in the room. It's fantastic. It's a funny story. I'm glad you mentioned that. My wife, we're packing up. We were left on a Friday. We're 9:30 or so, and we're loading stuff down to the car, and we're checking everything. We come back up to the room, check all the drawers like everyone does, as our kids like to just hide stuff in random places. Check the closets, check that safe, make sure that no one kids did love to close the safe when we first started staying at timeshares. But one place that my wife did not check was the dryer, and oddly enough, the dryer contained all of our bathing suits, to all of our towels. So every single beach towel, every single bathing suit. And for some reason, my wife washed the pillows. She left the pillows on the bed. I'm sorry. So left all our bathing suits, left all our towels, and left the pillows on the bed, even though both of us went through the room twice after we got everything in the car. I will say that Marriott was absolutely awesome and offered to box all that stuff up and ship it to us. They even offered a overnight shipping, which is an absurd. It was like $200 for overnight shipping. We weren't the least bit interested in that. We were just 2 hours away, so we were happy just box it up and we'll get it when we get it. It actually showed up within 2 days, so 48 hours shipping and a big box. Kudos to Marriott Harbor Lake and the staff there. Absolutely amazing. Called them up. I guess this happens pretty regularly, so we're not alone in this. But you leave stuff in your room, they'll absolutely pack it up, put it in a box, ship it off to you. Obviously, at your expense, but I think it was 40 or 50 bucks, more than worth it. And I truly can't believe that. I can't say enough about that resort. My review is just last time I did a whole video on it. I was so happy. The kids had a absolutely gangbusters time. They just absolutely love it. The activities and the staff there are top notch. My only complaint was the ice machine. Man, the ice machine was making like the tiniest little slivers of ice, and we had to go down. They'll give you free ice at the bar, so we had to do that. But I don't know, man. That ice machine was just on strike. Just did not want to produce ice. But having a separate bedroom for a kid is great. You're right. I mean, it just totally changes not having your kids sleep on the couch or on the floor or in bed with you. Just kind of totally changes the dynamic of a vacation when you have a separate room that the kids love it, because they just throw their crap everywhere and just make the room their own. The first thing they do is get in, they just unpack all their crap and throw it all there. Look like a bomb went off in the kids' room. But hey, close that door, everything's fine. Absolutely love it. Left stuff in the dryer before the resort held it for us. Picked it up 2 weeks later on our way back. Yeah, my wife was even considering driving back down to Orlando just to get it, because she can't sleep without her pillows. But no, I just was amazed that they had a box big enough to ship that in, and were perfectly happy to do so. Obviously charging us for it, but I don't think they're making a profit on something like that. It's just shipping stuff costs money, and it was a large box that they sent full of the stuff. But to have our stuff back in 2 days for 40 bucks, that's probably certainly cheaper than paying for the gas and the 2 hours there and 2 hours back to drive to pick it up ourselves. But can't say enough about the staff that runs Marriott Harbor Lake. You guys are awesome. We'll absolutely be back. This is our second year going down there, and just wonderful. Weather didn't really play good for us. For any of you who were in Orlando this past week, if you went to the parks, you had an amazing time. The weather was just absolutely awesome for going to the parks. Must have been mid 60s, high 60s most of the week, with overcast on some of the days. Not so good for sitting by a pool. Kids didn't care. They loved it. The pools are heated, 85 degrees. So kids were fine all day, every day at the pool. Not so much for this guy who did not bring long pants, who did not bring socks, who I put on shorts. I had bathing suits and flip-flops. That's what I brought, because I was going on vacation, spring break in Florida. Did not predict low 60s, overcast, and like 20-mile-an-hour winds. So yes, I was the guy at the pool with towels over his legs and 3 or 4 shirts on because it was cold. But all I cared about was kids having fun. all day, every day in the pool, and except to get out and do the activities. But we'll absolutely be back, probably go back this summer and enjoy the heat. So we are now, wow, that was a long time. We're 15 minutes in. We haven't even gotten to topic two. Topic number two, more vacation village resorts offering deed backs. This is some great news we got a couple weeks back, started on Facebook, followed over onto the Tug page. We are now seeing Vacation from resort to resort. This is happening at an individual resort level versus Vacation announcing it as an official program. But we saw both Vacation Village Parkway and Grandview owners report that they had reached out, people who had called before or reached out before to ask to surrender their ownerships back because they were done with them, actually got emails from Vacation offering them a solution to give their ownership back. The fact that it was originally, I think it was just Berkshire that was offering that, but now that we've seen Parkway, which is a huge resort, so that'll be thousands of owners probably taking them up on that, and Grandview, two resorts, very, very popular, and they do get sold on the resale market. Those are two of the most successfully rehome timeshares on Tug for the past 2 years. But the fact that Vacation is now implementing a surrender program for these owners who have already indicated that they want to give them back, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Now, I will say a caveat is it's not free. It seemed to be like they were offering a multiple of maintenance fees, whether it was 2 years or something like that, to surrender your ownership back, which is not ideal, but way better than these people being forced into the jaws of exit companies. We'll have another topic on coming up Saturday about what resorts do to handle defaults, because owners are just stuck between a rock and a hard place and having to choose between two really, really crappy choices in their solution to get out of their timeshare that they don't want anymore. I've always been a proponent of giving an owner an option. They can refuse that option and they can take a different option and choose to default, but not giving them an option to work with the resort just either results in them becoming scammed by an exit company or them stopping payment. Neither of which is beneficial to the resort. Just ends up in the solution that the resort could have done anyway by offering them a deed back right off the start. I absolutely love the trend that it appears, and I'm hoping that we will see this across more Vacation Village resorts now that Vacation is taken over, to allow owners an option. Just giving them the option is better than no option at all, to work with them to surrender their ownership back when they don't want it anymore. So hope to see more of this. Hope more owners are taking advantage of this. Hope this completely puts an end, if this gets implemented, Vacation Village wide, would completely put an end to exit companies overnight in terms of Vacation Village owners, because who's going to pay an exit company $7,000 or $10,000 when Vacation will take it back for $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever it happened to be, or 2 years worth of maintenance fees? That they just overnight it fixes the exit company problem. Obviously, it might create another one, and you have so many owners surrendering their ownerships back, but it doesn't put the resort in a situation where they have to wait out months or years in some cases for an owner defaulting. That's lost maintenance fees. It's lost the ability to rent. That's it's costing you money to constantly send notice of late assessment letters each and every month, to send notice of intent to foreclose letters each and every month. Just the rigmarole that is involved in dealing with a delinquency that can take months, if not years, to come to fruition. When the end result is you're going to take the ownership back anyway. Why not skip all that? Why force people to go down that path for that long and cost yourself so much time, effort, and money, when you could just take the ownership back right from the start, or monetize that take back like the exit companies have proven that you can do, and just provide some sort of solution. My ideal solution would be a tiered exit program, where for every 5 years of ownership or 10 years of ownership, or once you reach certain ownership milestones, you can give it back for this or that or the other. If you want to give it back after 1 year, it's a hefty fee. You want to give it back after 5 years, it's half that. You want to give it back after 10 years, it's half that. It's something that's got to get to the point where if I'm an owner for 30 or 40 years, you got to give me a reasonable exit option here. But small steps, baby steps. I don't want to put Vacation down, because if all resorts offered this right now, you would put the exit companies out of business like that overnight, completely, instantly put them out of business overnight by offering the same solution that they're offering to owners, a guaranteed way to get out of your timeshare. People have proven, timeshare owners have proven by the tens of thousands, that they are more than happy to pay a hefty sum in the thousands to guarantee to get them out of their timeshare, period. And so why the industry has taken this long to adopt that model, or to try and combat that model, blows my mind. I have absolutely no valid reason why that exists, but I hopefully optimistic that this will continue. This trend will upwards. Maybe Vacation will prove that this model is sustainable, and they have a plan to to deal with all of these surrenders that now become association-owned inventory or developer-controlled inventory, that they're going to take that back. But now you have thousands of dollars coming in instead of just tied up in collections efforts or notice that it's just instead of a drain on the resort, you now have positive income and the ability to do something with these weeks at resorts that people like. It's not that they don't feel that the time, just what we said before, time sharing is great while you're there. But there comes a point in 100% of owners' lives where it's time to exit your timeshare. And there's so many resorts out there and so many systems out there that have absolutely no viable option. Have a lot of crappy options, but no viable option and no clear path for an owner to surrender their ownership back when it's time for them to end. So again, I can't say enough. I hope that this becomes a more widespread in the vacation village world. And so Vacation did promise people I spoke to that they would have something official announcement by the end of this quarter for quarter one, which is 6 days away. Who knows? We'll see. And I will be happily to maintain an update on this anytime we get information about a resort offering a way out, an official way out. We are absolutely going to shout that from the rooftops to ensure that every single person on Tug in that situation knows their options and does not fall victim to the scams that just target you. They're there to target people who just don't know any better. And Tug is here to make sure you know better. That's our goal. That's been our goal for 30 years. It's going to be our goal for 30 years more. And if it just helps just one person, it'd be absolutely worth it. So left stuff in the dryer before. Oh, we already mentioned that. Sorry. But yeah, the whole dryer thing, again, box being shipped within 48 hours. I guess it was in Florida. Absolutely awesome. So stay at Marriott Resorts. They're super awesome. I'm a big fan. Item number 3, new Bonnet Creek parking fee. Okay, so Bonnet Creek is one of the largest resorts in Orlando. It's one of the most popular resorts in Orlando. Right at the entrance of Disney. Anyone who goes to Disney passes right by it. You can't miss it. You've probably stayed there. If not, you know what it is, or you've seen it. Extremely large resort, extremely popular resort for rentals, Wyndham owners. That's just absolutely massive. And they have announced that a new $30 a night parking fee for non-members, which is, man, I hate the fact that these types of stories are so common. I hate it. It just seems like there's a fee on top of a fee on top of a fee everywhere you look. And so because this resort is just so unbelievably popular, someone clearly saw this as if you've got 10,000 renters a year and charge $30 a night and it's an extra $300 a week or $250 a week, whatever the math, however long you happen to stay, would be a huge boon and just inventory, income that they can use for reasons. But this is just going to just piss so many people off. People that are renting timeshares there, people that are exchanging into this. Just everywhere you go, you see a value that looks great, and then you see, okay, well, I got my exchange fee on top of that. Now I got to pay $30 a night to park. It just super frustrating. But this is the trend, unfortunately. Marriott Harbor Lake, I was just there. They also charge $30 a night for non-owners to stay at that resort. It was funny. I'll tell you another funny story about this. So we got 2 rooms for both my family and our in-laws that came, which was fantastic. And they were able to put them right next to us. We tried to get 3. And I'll admit at the last minute, I didn't expect it. We had another family, sister-in-law lived in Tampa, and they just wanted to come stay with the grandkids and hang out for a few days. Tried to get a 3rd week, no availability. Nothing. There wasn't a getaway available. There was nothing booked within Marriott, just completely sold out. Now it was spring break. So again, I don't put that on Marriott. I did not really expect it, but not seeing that. What was crazy is sister-in-law was able to go online and rent it. And so this just kind of reinforced the stuff we see all the time. It kind of made me mad that how was my sister-in-law able, as a just completely random person, to go online, search for Marriott Harbor Lake and actually rent it? Now she paid the rack rate. She paid an absurd amount of money for the 3 nights that she was there. Thankfully, they were weeknights, but it was still just a ridiculous amount of money, more than we paid for the entire week. But I was just very frustrated that we were not able to book that through with amount points, but she could go rent it. You're telling me there's no inventory for owners, but people can go rent. That's just a tale as old as time itself. So people are so frustrated at not being able to make reservations, whether it's exchange reservations or within their own programs, not showing availability. But then being able to rent it, average Joe Schmo can go rent it on the internet. Obviously, they're paying way more. That is incredibly frustrating. And so it came up with this, is they were going to be charged the $30 a night fee because they were renters. And so I went down there and I explained that, hey, they're under our account. We linked the reservations, so it all showed up, and they weren't able to get them right next to us, as they only had a one bedroom, but they were in the same building at least, so it worked out there. But I told them the story. I was like, hey, we booked these 2 weeks with points. We were not able to do a third week, which again, the expectation of being able to rent 3 rooms right next to each other at last minute like that for spring break. I don't blame the issue of not having any availability. I didn't have high expectations for that, but I was kind of pissed that they were able to rent it and then they were being charged the $30 night parking fee. So thankfully, I went up to the front desk and explained this, and they waived the parking fee for her sister-in-law, because again, I would have happily made that reservation if the availability was there, so that would have used points and would have waived that parking fee. But it was just kind of, I got a little taste of what many owners feel, and frustration, and not being able to book those prime weeks, not being able to get the inventory that they want, or constantly being told that there's nothing available when they want to go, but yet you can go on any random commercial site and rent it. It's the first time I'd ever experienced that. Not that I didn't believe it existed. I just hear it from constantly for the past 20 plus years. It's been a thorn in most owners' sides, especially trying to exchange something. But experiencing that just really kind of paints a fairly good picture of the industry today, and why that complaint is so common. Just is what it is. I would really love to know. There's got to be a computer system somewhere. There's got to be a database. There's got to be something that shows how much inventory is reserved for at what point does the reservation side for owners show no inventory, and how much is reserved, how much has been allocated. And it probably wasn't there before. It was probably already sliced off and put in a separate pool. But I'd genuinely be curious to know what the exact percentage of those pools are. Is it 90-10? Is it 80-20? Is it 99-1%? Who knows? Maybe we just got the absolute last resort. Maybe it just came open available. But just another example of why owners sometimes get frustrated when they're trying to make reservations and see no inventory, or see it available for rent, or are able to rent it. What's the point of owning a timeshare if I can't make the reservation and but I'm able to rent it out as a non-owner? That's common theme and frustrating. And now I've experienced that myself. So I 100% empathize. Not that I didn't before, but I understand your pain. I feel your pain. I experienced your pain firsthand. I didn't like it either. So, going on to, well, speaking of Marriott, since we're beating their head in right now, why don't we just move on to a whole nother topic, beating on Marriott some more. Man, awesome. So it's still got a dozen people online. Super, super fantastic. I appreciate y'all tuning in. For those of you that have come on recently, we are now 27 minutes into this chat, and we're on topic number 4, almost halfway through. This was kind of a painful story because, and I'm going to bring this one up because I think I saved it here, not that one. Where are we at here? Why did I scroll down on these? Because I can't tell which one's this. Basically, the 5-cent version was this particular, share this tab instead. This particular person was told by their parents that their parents paid, and nothing we could do about it because it happened last month. But they came on Tug, found Tug, registered because their parents were sold an upgrade. And while that is, again, a tale as old as time itself, certainly nothing uncommon. It's still abhorrent. I hate that it happened. It's just the details behind this were just what made it over the top, because these people did not need to trade in their legacy week to points. What they were scared into doing in this process and trading their legacy peats and buying points is because they were told, and I'm going to read it here, that if they didn't trade in their deeded week and go into the points program, that they risk paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in special assessments because of their deeded week, just because they own a deeded week, because of all of the SURS stuff and the condominiums and stuff in Florida, and all of the the condo collapsing, and it's just outright making things miserable for anything within 3 miles of the ocean in Florida, having to do some massive expenditures. And while that is true, scaring an owner into trading in their deeded week for points because it's somehow going to save them from this 100,000 6-figure special assessment on down the road is just absurd. There's no salesperson out there who has any sort of insight into how much special assessments are going to be, when special assessments are going to go. It's just 100% fear mongering. The browser has lost connection. Your screen's audio. Did I lose my? That's not good. Can anybody hear me? Did I lose my Talk. What happened here? No, it shows again. I don't know what's going. Screen share audio. I don't know. I've never seen that message before. Maybe I lost something on there. Can you guys hear me? Test. Yes, 1, 2. Did we guys lose audio? Hey, Billy. I see Billy tuning in. I'm assuming I see the microphone talking, so I'm not sure why it was why it would do that. But hey, we still here. I don't know why it was giving me that. Anyway, just very, very frustrating to see the tactics that you would not expect from Marriott. And then in this thread calm down. And I personally have not been in a Marriott sales presentation where tactics like this are used, but it was just really, really disappointing. As Marriott is supposed to have the bar set a little bit higher. Hilton's should have the bar a little bit higher. And to see something like this and to see a salesperson absolutely take advantage of an elderly couple and lie straight to their face just to sell them something that they didn't need, to trade in the existing. These aren't new customers. These are people that have been happy owners of a deeded week for years, but yet they were scared into, which was a complete lie, scared into trading in what they had for points to avoid some mythical fee that was going to come on down the road. So I just truly sickens me to see stuff like this. This is just, we constantly hear from the industry that they've cleaned this stuff up, and they constantly fight this and make sure that their employees are highly trained and educated and go through a rigorous process of verifying that this sort of stuff reported in sales presentations can't happen, won't happen, doesn't happen. We nip it at the bud. We dig it out by the roots. And these kind of salesmen have no place in sales offices. But the reports they speak for themselves. We see the same stories, the same tactics, the same situations that owners are put in, and most of the owners that report this stuff know better. They're savvy Tug members or have read the opposite and the warnings of all this stuff on Tug, and know when their BS flag goes up that a salesman's probably talking out of their ass. But so many don't. There's so many people out there that don't and fall for this stuff. If these tactics didn't work, they simply wouldn't be used. And so I truly hate each and every time I see one of these stories, but it is my goal to constantly promote these stories on Tug so that people will know. People say, hey, I heard about that on Tug. That was a complete scam. Or hey, we saw even down here, you see dozens of responses of, this one at 2024 got the exact same pitch 2 years ago for their Marriott timeshare. Other people, hey, I just got back from a presentation and they told me the exact same thing, or my parents got back. It's amazing at how prevalent these tactics are, and they're that way because it works. Counts as elder abuse in Canada. No, it should count as elder abuse. It probably does in Florida too. However, there's no one out there prosecuting this. There's no one, there's no law enforcement agency. And many times it wouldn't be reported. And it probably wasn't in this case because it happened to their parents. It's amazing. Their parents told them the story. And even they're not even timeshare owners, their spidey senses started tingling and realized how fishy, how off this sounded. And they found Tug and did their research and discovered that, yes, their parents were taken for a ride. Yes, they were taken to the cleaners. Yes, they were outright lied to. Unfortunately, it's likely too late for them to get a refund. But like you mentioned, if it's elder abuse, it's probably elder abuse in Florida. And we created an article recently. If you were lied to at a sales presentation, and this person 100% was, there are some options that you can take to try to fight back. If you choose to just give up, that's what they're hoping for. They hope you give up. They hope you'll just accept the fact that you were lied to and fleeced out of tens of thousands of dollars, and then you'll just go away and be embarrassed and not report it and not be a squeaky wheel and not post it in all sorts of places. And you won't go through the effort to fight the fact that this person lied to you and took money from you. And it's our hope that you read Tug, you feel empowered, and you have an actual direction and instructions to go through to try and follow through with this, to try to fight back, to try to push back, because there comes a point where you can be a squeaky enough wheel that you can get that canceled. Or maybe you get your story in front of someone who truly does believe that crap like this should not exist anywhere in a sales room and can do something about it. Or if they got 10 reports in the past week of this person, yours might be the report that finally triggers someone to go in and sit in and listen to this guy's presentation, or their manager to go in and listen to realize, holy crap, is this what this guy is truly saying? To people he's selling. We don't do that. You're out of here. Go work for another company, which they'll probably just walk across the street to another one and be picked up in that sales office. The turnover rate in timeshare sales offices is extremely high. But so many people just give up. So many people just take it on the chin. Tough lesson learned. Nothing I can do about it. Move on. Try to learn to like it. Try to learn to accept it. I just don't believe that is the answer in these situations. if you weren't lied to, now don't get me wrong, this person was clearly lied to. This couple was clearly taken advantage of. So I support fighting that 100%. But you shouldn't have to outlay money to do that. You should be able to work through these processes and report this information and give them the ability to make it right. Now, if they don't make it right and you truly can prove that you were lied to and have the documentation to prove that, then you can pursue other activities. But again, I just can't stress enough at how many people that are deliberately misled or outright lied to at a sales presentation that they feel bad about it, but most are just too embarrassed to say anything. Or they're like this couple, they probably don't even realize that they were taken advantage of, and it relied on a son or sibling to hear their story, go do some research on Tug, and hopefully go back to him. I want to say he even mentioned here, because I don't even think I could talk them. I don't even think I could convince them that they were misled or that they made a very, very expensive mistake, because they were so happy about it. They were so thrilled that they were able to offset this maintenance fee cost or not have to pay this. And now they have access to Abound points and they're going to be everywhere. It was the best deal in the world, the best thing since sliced bread, that they were able to convert that old crappy useless deeded week for these new shiny wonderful Abound points. It is incredible at how a salesman can just spin a yarn, just create a web of just sunshine and roses. And you would be foolish to not take me up on this offer, because it's just so amazing. This is the best. This is the most amazing thing since the word amazing was first written on a Sanskrit reed in Egypt in 10,000 years ago. No one, the average person just doesn't believe that the person sitting right here, looking right into my eyes, looking right here, just telling me a story, absolutely lying to you. I will tell you whatever you want to hear to take money from you to ensure you sign this contract so I can get my commission. I don't care what line I cross. I don't care if I'm outright lying. I'm going to tell you what I think you need to hear so that you'll sign right here today and give me a commission. And unfortunately, there's so many sales offices, so many people working in those sales offices who have that mentality. And it just takes a special sort of complete asshole to do that to someone, much less an elderly couple, much less a customer who is already an existing happy owner in your organization. To do that to them is just abhorrent. I know how you can sit there and say that I want to build a lifetime relationship. I want to form and maintain a lifetime relationship of happy owners, and you allow this sort of thing to go on. More importantly, when it's reported, you don't do anything about it. That's really where I have the problem. I would have no issue with the industry is if you had a detailed report that they know is true. Meaning, if I read this to Timeshare sales presentation, or if I read this to a sales manager, he wouldn't dispute it. There wouldn't be, now legally, he'd be like, oh, well, he must have misunderstood or didn't misinterpreted what the salesperson said, or, he knows in his mind 100% that this is a true and accurate recount of exactly what happened to this couple. He knows it happened, but then they may fire the guy or after enough complaints, ship him on his way to another thing. But the fact that the person who was scammed, the person who was lied to, the person who was sold and had to pay tens of thousands of dollars isn't made whole. There isn't something done to correct that, to right that wrong. That is the problem I have with the industry. You can say all day that you want to make this stuff right and that you're against, terrible sales presentations or lying in sales presentations. But when your actions don't fix the problem, and when it's brought to your attention, it's just all lip service. It's absolute nonsense. There's nothing out there you can do to convince me that you are truly against that. These are publicly traded companies, and the bottom line, stockholder profits is the number one thing. And if you executives can't do that, then they're replaced with those that can. And you're not willing to accept that. But don't go on TV and say that you're about building a brand, or you're about building lifetime engagements and of happy owners to all under the Marriott umbrella, because that's absolute horsepucky. When you are confronted with a situation that happened, whether or not they can prove it is nonsense. Whether or not they can provide documentation or recording or whatever, it happened. You've been in a sales office. You didn't become an executive at Marriott without going through the sales office in some way, shape, or form, or without being in the legal department in some way, shape, or form. And you've probably read 1,000 of these stories in the past few years. But the fact that you don't make it right, that you don't reach out to that owner and say, hey, we might understand that something about your timeshare sales presentation wasn't up to snuff. You might have been misled something. We would like to give you the opportunity to change it. Who knows? Maybe the person say, no, I'm absolutely happy with it. I'm good with that. I don't think that'd be the case. But the fact that you don't take the opportunity to right a wrong, but you'll go publicly and say, oh, we don't support that, or we're against that, or we take steps to make sure that this sort of activity doesn't infiltrate our sales offices. again, you're saying that for president, just like a politician going up there and saying exactly what you want to hear, 2 days before the election. And then I don't want to get into politics, but you're just, again, saying what someone wants to hear so that you can cover yourself. And well, that's, publicly, I decried that, talk is cheap. I can't say it any other ways than that. Talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. Those phrases didn't come about. I didn't invent these. They haven't been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years for no reason. The industry is just it's just a terrible place. It's so important for owners to be educated and owners to know what to expect when they go to sales presentations, that they don't become victims like this person's parents. I hate reading these, but I will always promote them and publish them in the hopes that if the dozen people that are watching right now, or the hundreds of people that chimed in this league, or the thousands of people that clicked on the link and read it through the newsletter, more of those stories get out, more of that information becomes common. And hey, the next time that some person sits in a Timeshare presentation, hopefully this couple, they won't fall for it again. And they'll know that, hey, this sounds great. I'm still going to take my time. I'm going to go back and do some research and go on Tug and check out what you said. And if it's true, maybe I'll be back and buy it. Here, give me your card. Maybe. And obviously a salesman doesn't want to hear that, because they know once they go do their research, the math just doesn't math, and they're not very, very much not likely to buy at full retail. But again, knowing that no matter what is told to you in that sales presentation, you need to go do your research. Don't sign a contract. Don't rely on it. If I had more time, I'd tell you a story about it. Even I got sucked into that. Had nothing to do with Timeshare, but I took someone's word at face value. They shook my hand and told me it was all right, and I didn't check the contract, and it wasn't included in the contract, and so arguments ensued. We'll say, but that's shame on me. I should know better, but even I believe that when handshake means something. Looking someone in the eye, man to man, giving you an agreement, telling you flat out that this is going to happen, and then standing behind that. Well, just because we said it verbally doesn't matter. It's not in the contract. You don't get it. That's a really, really shitty way to do business, in my opinion. So, going on to, we have finished week 11. Now we are going on to week 12. Share this tab. First on week 12 is $180,000 Wyndham refund. I'm gonna read that again. I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna say that slowly. $180,000 this person signed a contract for to buy a Wyndham timeshare, to buy Wyndham points. $180,000. That's a house for some people. That's a yacht. That's wild. It's probably one of the largest. I think there was one that's bigger. That's got to be top 5, at least one of the largest rescissions we have ever heard of on Tug. And for someone to actually sign a contract, and I think it was like 600,000 points. I think it's something like that. And I can probably go look at it. Actually, let's look at the story. Let's see what it says. Share this time. It said he was complaining. He mentioned that the emails were bouncing. Went back. Where did it go? Yeah, 600,000 Club Wyndham access points. You did 600,000 Club Wyndham access points for $180,000. That's how. Yeah, I don't want to back on this guy because he's clearly able to rescind and get a refund. So kudos to you, buddy. How does someone sit in a sales presentation and sign a contract for $180,000? I just that's wild to me. If I'm buying something $180,000, I've done more research. I mean, I'm a master in that field. I am an expert. I have searched high and low for each and anything related to that, and I had to have found Tug. I had to have found. There's just no way I could buy something. I paid that much money for something without just doing the most research possible, because it's insane to know that you could get 600,000 Club Wyndham access points on the resale market for free. Is just wild. It's absolutely wild scenario that thankfully, this person was able to find Tug and realize, discover the resale market and realize that they were about to throw away 100. I still can't believe that the salesman had to have been licking his lips, just absolutely salivating, like Turner and Hooch style, just rolling up 100, and especially as that guy was signing that $180,000 contract. I don't know what the commission is on that, but I imagine it's pretty hefty, and just a wild situation. I cannot be happier for this guy that they found Tug, able to get that refund, sign that rescission form, get that in there, and erase that $180,000 back in your pocket. I don't know of too many people on this planet that can say they saved $180,000 by doing 5 minutes of research on the internet. But this guy did. Kudos to you. I hope to see more of those. Well, again, I hope to see less of those, because I hope that there aren't that many people out there spending $180,000 on 600,000 Wyndham points when you can get them on Tug for free. But it is what it is. Here we are. Save this guy. I'll count it as a win. Kudos, and I hope you have a great 2026 with 180,000 extra dollars in your pocket to spend on your vacation. Going on to topic number two, buying a legacy deeded week from Marriott. This kind of we had a Marriott theme these past couple weeks. This is an interesting one because this person actually wanted to buy a legacy week. Now, obviously, legacy weeks aren't sold on the retail market anymore. You can't go into a resort and they're not selling that. Everything is points now. But in looking at Marriott having some all Marriott sold was legacy weeks and deeded weeks for years, and there's thousands of them still out there. Plenty of legacy deeded week owners, but they wanted to know the difference. What's the difference if I own a legacy deeded week that's not enrolled in points versus buying points? Obviously, the benefit is you have a fixed or floating week depending on what you buy at a specific resort. So if you truly want to go to Aruba Surf Club or you truly want to go to Newport Coast, and you're not concerned so much about going somewhere else or trading or that's where you want to go. That's your resort. That's your dream. That's where you want to vacation. It kind of makes sense. So, if you just buy points, then you're relying on having to navigate your booking windows and make a reservations at that resort with the points that you have versus owning a legacy week or deeded, even a fixed week. You can stay there. You can pick a reservation or you stay at your fixed week. Or pick your reservation at your floating week interval. And you still have the option to trade with an interval if you want to go somewhere else. And there are plenty of I will say there's plenty of legacy week owners that still deposit an interval and still trade there. So you still technically have the ability to trade within Marriott, to trade other Marriott systems. Obviously, your inventory is much, much smaller than if you were, in the Abound Points program. But there are benefits to doing that. And oddly enough, you look at some of these platinum ownerships that they hold their resale value pretty well. Just because the reason the resale market is so depressed for most other timeshares is supply and demand. There's far more people looking to get rid of Wyndham points. There's far more people looking to get rid of Diamond Resorts points. There aren't that many sellers out there or people that are looking to get out of a legacy deeded Marriott week. They probably love it. It's probably at a beautiful resort. It's probably at the week that they want to go in. So when you see there's far, far less inventory for people to buy, as such, the law of supply and demand, you have a higher price that you can command. So even if you're buying a legacy week on the resale market, chances are it's already lost all of its depreciation. It's not going to be worth that much less, if anything less, when you choose to go sell it on down the road, because they just don't have the glut of availability in resales for the legacy deeded stuff that you do, that you'll see in most other systems or in the point system. So there is a benefit to buying a legacy week. Obviously, you're not likely to find one for free. You're still going to find it far less than what that person paid for it originally, more than likely. But the pros and cons of each, it really comes down to what's your ideal vacation. When people ask me what timeshare to buy, when people ask me what works best for me, there's no way for me to answer that, because the only way I can get any sort of glimpse into what will work best for you is if you tell me what your dream vacation is. Where do you want to go more often than not? It doesn't make any sense for you to buy something in Oregon if you only want to go whale watching once, or you want to go to stay at that place once. Where do you want to go more often than not? Do you want to go ski in Salt Lake City? Do you want to go Panama City Beach every year for spring break? Do you want to go to Myrtle Beach? Do you want to go to Branson? You want to go to Gatlinburg? Those are more often than not, that's where you want to go. That will narrow down the systems or the types of ownerships that you want to buy that will give you those vacations and not have you struggle to make them. There's no reason for you to buy into this particular system if they only have one resort in Southern California where you want to vacation 9 out of 10 years. It doesn't do any good for you to buy XYZ point program if the resort in Scottsdale where you want to go spring training or watch some sort of event year in year out, if that resort sucks. They may happen to have one there, but you might not like it. So when you determine what your dream vacation is going to be, what you really want out of timesharing, that just eliminates all of the chaff out there that just is not going to give you the optimal results in being able to reserve the type of vacation that you want to go on. So in this case, this person really, really loved a particular location, particular resort, particular Marriott resort, and wanted to stay there. Obviously wanted to vacation there more often than not, but still wanted the option occasionally to trade that somewhere else, or to maybe use that or rent it out if they weren't going to go that year, and then go somewhere else. And so when you pick a legacy week, whether it's a fixed or floating week, it gives you the ability to make that reservation more often than not. You're going to be much, much happier in enjoying what you truly have in your mind about time sharing when you want to buy it than if you bought into a random points program and then you had to learn how, your booking windows, you had to learn how many points were you needed for this, and you had to just it's a much more complex process to try and reserve the same week at the same resort, the same location with points, unless you buy a whole bunch of them and you're able to leverage that. But that's going to cost you a lot of money. Then in some cases, in cases like this, it's better to buy that legacy deeded week, that you are able to have a much more user friendly experience in reserving if you want to stay at that specific resort. So, is it stuff still available? Yes. I truly hope this owner is able to find the resale that they're looking for on Tug from another Tug member. But in some cases, points, while they have an allure and they have an amazing benefit of being able to go to multiple places and provide you much more flexibility and short stays and less than week long stays. All of that is great for certain travelers, but there are still people out there. I happen to be one of them that still prefer to have the ability to go to the same resort year in and year out. Like if I could find a deeded week at Harbor Lake for spring break, I'd probably buy it. To be perfectly honest, to know that I'm going there each and every year. I'm able to. I'm for the foreseeable future. In 5 or 6 years, if my kids are a little too grown for Harbor Lake, I'll obviously sell it and pass it on to someone else who can enjoy that. But the demand is there, and there is a timeshare. There's somebody used to say, what was this? There's what's the phrase for it? Seat for every butt, it's butt for every seat, something like that. There's a timeshare for everyone out there that is going to fulfill your vacation needs more often than not. It may not always be perfect, but it is super, super important for you to define what your vacation needs are before you buy a timeshare and not fall for the current sales pitch, which is, hey, you just buy points and you can stay whenever you want, wherever you want, no problem, super easy, very, very simple, or so user friendly. And you're just going to be disappointed, unfortunately, if you wind up doing that. So doing your research ahead of time, it's been our mantra for 30 years. And I'm super, super happy to see this thread and all of the information that was brought up and mentioned, showing someone the benefits of buying a legacy week versus buying Marriott points. Next one, almost this doesn't have to be said, but hey, we're going to say it because can't say it enough. Never ever sign anything in a sales presentation. We beat this to death tonight. I think this is the second or third time we've talked about this. I don't care what you get told. I don't care what the sales pitch is. I don't care how once in a lifetime this is. I don't care how time sensitive this is. I don't care what the salesperson says. We used to say never pay large upfront fees to get rid of your timeshare was the golden rule, and it still is. However, if I could put an asterisk next to that, the platinum rule, or we'll go gold, silver, and bronze. The silver rule is just don't sign anything at a sales presentation. Period. I don't even care. It's just I don't care if it's a document saying that you sign this to get your gift card and get out of there. Just don't sign anything at a sales presentation. Period. There's absolutely nothing you are required to sign at a sales presentation, and it's just very, very frustrating that this particular story, these people were actually thought they were signing something to end the sales presentation, to get out, or some sort of form that the salesman made seem like that, hey, just sign this and you're gone, you're done, you're not buying anything. And it turns out that they wound up buying something. And it's just absolutely sickening, and just another example of how shady certain salesmen are. Again, another example where, I think this was Hyatt in particular, should make this right. You get that story. Now, they may not have complained to Hyatt. They probably just complained to the sales office, and those people don't care. You have to get someone in upper management, or getting your complaint to the right person is always been a challenge at best. But again, just the number one rule: never pay a large upfront fee to do anything with your timeshare. Golden, I can't think of a blend of gold. Whatever. The silver rule is don't sign anything in a sales presentation. Period. You're never going to lose out on a once in a lifetime deal. You're never going to regret not signing something to sales presentation. You're never going to be in a situation where if you choose not to sign and you go back and do your research, that whatever deal you were being offered, or whatever you're being sold, or whatever once in a lifetime thing would not be available to you in a week or a month or 6 months down the road. None of that exists. It's all presented to you to generate you needing to sign immediately, to fear of missing out. FOMO is a legitimate thing. Never, ever, ever sign anything. And I don't care if it's a document. I don't care if it's a check. The guy gives you a check for $10,000. Just you are not signing anything at a sales presentation. Period. Gives yourself the opportunity. If you can't take you don't want to say no to someone, you don't want to be rude, and they rely on that sort of pressure. People just don't want to be rude and don't want to disappoint someone who they thought was their friend, who probably told their lifetime story to generate that rapport and make it seem like that down to earth person has your best interest in mind, when in reality They want you to sign that contract so they can get paid. It's the only reason they're being friendly to you. They care less what you do if you're not signing this contract. So never, ever, ever sign anything at a sales presentation, period. I cannot express that enough. You don't even need to sign something when you check in. Why would you need to sign something at a sales presentation? Period. I don't care what the salesperson said. Just do not sign anything at a timeshare sales presentation. Great advice. If you could just remember that in the back of your head, I'm not signing anything. I'm not signing anything. You can even say it. That'd be a great way to get out of sales presentation. Just keep repeating, I'm not signing anything. I'm not. What was Marshawn Lynch? I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm just here, but I'm not going to sign. We'll just repeat it in your head, say it out loud, scream it from the rooftops, hold up a sign. I'm not, I should write it down. I'm not signing anything at a sales presentation. Hold up a tug shirt, whatever. Just do not, just so disappointing when, someone is handed something that they're told it's one thing and it just turns out to be something else. It's going to be a credit application. I've heard that. I thought I was just signing something to do a soft check or something, and they used it to open a credit card for me, or they used it to open this account, and we suddenly bought this sampler package or something. Like I 100% thought I wasn't buying anything and I was just leaving, and I just signed this form to get out of there on the tablet, or he handed it in front of me. He said, just sign this and you can leave. Just absolutely not. Decline. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm not comfortable signing anything. I don't need to sign anything. I appreciate your time. This is supposed to be an owner update. You're supposed to be educating me on the ownership, not trying to sell me something. Have a nice day. Enjoy that. I'm going to go back to the pool and have a margarita. So yeah, sign absolutely nothing. It's just great advice, right up there with not paying a large upfront fee to sell your timeshare. Moving on to topic number 8. Can't believe we've gone through this, and we are now 56 minutes. I'm going to do this in under an hour, I promise. 60% property tax hike for timeshares in Tennessee proposed. This is an inflammatory headline, I agree, but that's the way it came in, and it legitimately could happen. The 5-cent version is apparently timeshares in Tennessee are in the process of being classified, instead of being residential, to commercial property. And that obviously is bad for a variety of reasons. Most importantly of which is that they can jack up the property tax rates on that timeshare compared to a residential property, which obviously the people that vote, versus a commercial property, and it'd be a much higher rate. Now, obviously that is tempered with the fact that it's shared amongst all of the owners, but no one wants to see a 60% increase in a line item, period, especially for something like taxes. So thankfully, and we give Art a lot of crap in this day and age, but thankfully, this is bad for the timeshares in Tennessee. This is bad not just for the owners, but the timeshares themselves, because they're the ones who are actually paying the property tax bill, and they're passing that on to the owners. So each owner is paying their share of the property tax. But to have a 60% increase on a line item is going to have maintenance fees skyrocket. It's going to have and they're going to have, they can explain it by, hey, this is just a tax. We're not getting this. This is the state of Tennessee. But thankfully, because it impacts the resorts themselves, ARDA is involved. Shocking. ARDA is now as actively lobbying against, this proposal. There is a bill out there to classify timeshares as residential, to ratify that, to ensure it can't be classified. Apparently, there's no classification for a timeshare. They're being taxed currently as residential, but the fact that they're not classified as either is now allowing some municipalities to claim that they are commercial businesses, to complain that the property is commercial in nature, like a hotel would be, versus a residence and a shared ownership residence. If this bill doesn't go through to ratify that timeshares will be considered residential, that you could see other municipalities, follow their footsteps, and then every municipality or every city or every town government would be able to, or statewide, could implement, a 60% sales tax. Not 60%, 60% property tax increase on every timeshare out there. And that's millions and millions of dollars of revenue. So you can see why the state would be interested in doing something like this. And that millions and millions of dollars would be passed on to non-residents. Most people that own Tennessee timeshares probably are not Tennessee residents. So it makes perfect sense from a lawmaker, a Tennessee lawmaker perspective. Hey, I'm able to raise revenue for the state. I'm able to put more money in the coffers, and it doesn't impact very many Tennessee residents at all. This taxes out-of-state people. We see that very, very constantly. Hawaii was recently, dinged for, we're in the news for implementing transit occupancy taxes and jacking that up for timeshares. Any way for governments to nickel and dime you out of your hard-earned money, they're going to take advantage of it. So I will say kudos to ARDA for fighting this, because it tangentially helps owners, because if it's going to impact the resort's bottom line, that's eventually going to be passed on to the owner. So kudos for that. But I wish that this level of fight or this level of action and lobbying existed against timeshare resale scams or timeshare exit scams. The industry always seems to step up when the problem impacts the resorts themselves, but never really when it impacts the owners. The biggest problem that the timeshare industry faces today is a lack of viable exit options, timeshare resale scams, timeshare exit scams, and the fact that we're getting more lobbying money and more time and effort being spent on a single state tax increase proposal than we've seen in a decade to fight the scams in this industry is pretty telling. So that said, we'll keep track of this and we'll see if that House bill actually goes through and gets passed to permanently classify timeshares as residential instead of commercial property, and to prevent this sort of fleecing of timeshare owners for additional property tax. And this would probably be a fairly small amount. I say that we're talking relatively speaking. I don't know what the property tax is on a 152 share of a single room in that, but could be $10, could be $20, something like that. But it's just money you shouldn't have to pay. Just going right into the coffers of Tennessee, that money that could be used elsewhere. It's not fair. Classifying a shared ownership building as commercial, just like it would be a hotel or something like that, just truly not fair. And I fully expect that bill to pass to allow that to remain the same. But hey, if you let government continue to go on and pass more taxes, they'll just continue to do so. Everything goes up, cost of everything, from bananas to boats and government's always going to get their fair share in the end. But this is something we would be wholeheartedly against, because it's just definitely unfair to timeshare owners. And again, it's not going to hit too many people majorly in the pocketbook, because it's such a broad, it's such a relatively minor expense in the total grand scheme of your maintenance fees. But I don't care what the line item is, jacking that up 60% is not something anyone wants to see. So we'll keep an update on that. We'll let you guys know if any sort of progress made on that. But those were the 8 most interesting stories, 4 from week 11 and 4 for week 12. I appreciate you guys tuning in, all of the 6 or 7 of you that are still left online after a full hour me rambling on about these topics. So you got some amazing stories that have come out this week. Please tune into the newsletter, tug2.com/newsletter, or send me an email, tugadmin@tug2.net. I'll sign you up for the newsletter personally. Comes out every Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, depending on when I finish it, Friday night, to be perfectly honest. But completely free, always will be free, 100% each and every Saturday. Keep up with the most interesting topics so that you can come watch me the next Tuesday as we cover off the cuff, completely unscripted, all 4 of those topics. And I give you my opinion. We chit chat about them. We share laughs, share experiences, share wonderful entertainment, and hopefully a little bit of education. So my goal with all these videos is the people that watch them, even that maybe not so much the people that are on there probably know everything I'm saying, and they're not going to fall for many of the warnings and stuff that are going on in here. But the other people that watch these videos, especially the short cut up parts, probably don't know this. And if it just has them click on it and learn a little bit more, saves themselves from making a very, very expensive mistake that so many thousands and thousands of timeshare owners make year in and year out. That's why Tug was founded in the first place. So I love doing these, and I'm going to keep doing these as long as people continue to watch them. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in this Tuesday night for a double extra episode, 1 hour long, of Timeshare Tuesday Recap Live. I hope to see each and every one of you next Tuesday, and look out for the newsletter on Saturday as a preview for everything we talked about. Thank you guys so much. You have a wonderful evening. And is it Easter? Yeah, well, happy early Easter. Well, you guys have a great time. Good night.